kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. Let us have a few interaction during this session. If you're here watching, kindly share to your social media platform, invite people to join us in this very important platform conversation, and also share your thoughts in the comment section because they are very helpful. Let us look at historical context. So to decolonize the mindset, we need to understand the historical context. Colonialism. Colonialism imposed foreign values and systems on us, often undermining indigenous cultures and knowledge. And this is something that we must be able to talk about very critically. When the colonial masters came into Africa, they didn't see anything valuable, any of our practices valuable, or they saw it as a threat to their own growth. Because if we continue to practice our own cultures, our own values, our own knowledge, the things that we inherited from our forefathers, they saw that if they allow us, we will not be able to allow them to penetrate into the very core of our own existence and corrupt our minds. Because we had very strong values. So they came in with this doctrine of telling people that this is bad. This culture you're practicing is bad. We have to modernize this culture. You have to study your twins. If a woman gives birth to twins, they say it's witchcraft or it's not allowed. They should throw away one and all of those things. Ladies and gentlemen, they came and corrupted our cultures. They colonized our mind, the culture. They colonized our values. They colonized our own knowledge, our own existence. They came and imposed on us a complete new life that we understand nothing about. We have to relearn everything and forget what we've been taught and what we've been practicing before they're coming into our own continent. This has left a lasting impact where Western ways are often viewed as superior. And that is the fact. Our forefathers worship different things. That's true. We know we have different cultural practices that are repugnant to natural justice. That's true. But we had values, we had cultures, we were able to innovate things by our own selves. They just came and corrupted our minds and made us to believe that everything we had was rudimentary and everything we had was primitive. It's only what they introduced to us that is actually what modernized, that is actually what's superior. That is the only thing that we can survive with. And this is the problem of Africa. So decolonization involves reclaiming our heritage, our values, our own cultures, and our own traditions. When you see an African father sending out a child into the world, or maybe sending off a child to school, and he lays his hand to talk to that child in the local, do some incantation, they say it's an abomination. You must only recite certain things, words that have been forced down your throat. That is the only thing that is considered as valuable. But they undermine those words, those traditional words that the father is chanting over their child to send them out into the world for success. They turn our cultures, they made our cultures, the best part of our culture they turn them against us. And people trying to fight back now begin to use it for evil, whereas that was not what we actually was practicing before. So, ladies and gentlemen, decolonizing ourselves. Decolonizing us decolonization of our mindset will involve what? Reclaiming our heritage, our values, our own cultures, our own tradition, and redefining success and progress through our own lenses. We have to look at success in different ways. People only these days, you define success only when you see somebody driving a Lamborghini, having mansions and villas. That is the only way they define success. But we must be able to look at success in different ways and through different lenses. By understanding our history, we also dismantle. So when we understand our history, we will also dismantle what? The remnants of colonial mentality that still influence our decisions today. And this is very true with the leadership in Africa. We have puppets as presidents in Africa who do nothing but listen to their colonial masters. There is no decision they make in their own country that does not involve the input of their colonial masters. Even though Africa has been gained its independence more than 60 years ago, they still depend on them for everything. For strategies, they depend on them for strategies. They depend on them for finances. They come through many disguised ways. They come through philanthropy. They come through aid. They come through different means, and they continue to exert their influence over us. And they determine what we should do with the resources that we receive from them. You go to World Bank, you collect money. They give you conditions, and they start telling you what you have to do, irrespective of if these things are against your own cultures. America comes and impose on you, they want to give you 10 billion or 100 billion if you adopt the LGBTQI stuff in your own country. And this is how they continue to influence us. But we must be able, because we had already made up our minds that there is nothing about us that is good. We only see the Western world as the superior power. We only see them as the only thing that is good. Nothing good comes from Africa for all amongst ourselves. African youth are not smart enough to innovate. African youth are not smart enough to own companies or to do things to innovate that will change the world, because we've already set a bar on us, on our own selves. So, ladies and gentlemen, if African youth, if we must be able to decolonize our mindset, then we should be able to redefine success, the progress through our own lenses. We should be able to do what? Dismantle the institutions of colonialism amongst us and the mentality that they instill in us all these years. That is the only way we can free ourselves, by starting to rebuild Africa by ourselves. Believing in the resources. If we use the resources that we have in Africa to rebuild Africa, then Africa will become the powerhouse of the world. We sit and wait for them to come and exploit the resources we have in Africa, and then we offer cheap labor to them. They come in, they exploit our resources, and at the same time they exploit our labor, and they don't even pay us well. They pay us money for cheap labor. We go into the field and we exploit by ourselves. We extract the resources by ourselves and give it to them, hand it over to them willfully. They take not just our resources, they take our integrity, they take our own dignity, and they take away what? Our labor. That is what they steal away from us. Each time they come in with this idea of they are starting up a company, they've just identified an area where they must have seen some level of natural resources in that area. So they just go there and they claim to be establishing a company there, whereas they are just there to extort the natural resources that are there. And they use us for cheap labor to extort these resources. And we must be able to rise and say no to all of these things, because life does not start and end in the European countries, in the Western world. So what are some of the things that we must do also? Ladies and gentlemen, education and awareness. Education is a powerful tool for decolonization. We need curriculums that include African history, achievement, contributions to the world. This helps build a sense of pride and identity amongst the youth. When youth come up with ideas, we should be able to look into these ideas, examine them, and see how impactful these ideas can be. What can it do to Africa in the long run? And if these ideas are great, we must be able to adopt them, because there is no system in the West that was not introduced by somebody. It has always been an idea that pops into somebody's head. pops into somebody's mind, then they bring it into fruition. Today we are using laptops. It's because somebody had that idea and brought it forth. And that is what we must be able to do in the African continent. Promote it, push it forward, encourage it, and not discourage every single idea that the youth they bring up. Once youth are not supported, once they bring up ideas and they are not supported, there is no reason for them to stay where they cannot be supported. We don't support, the only people we support are footballers. No, it's not only football that we can support in the Africa. We have intellectual ideas that people have that can be supported to grow Africa. So why do our youth need to stay? An educational system celebrates African history and achievement and inspire youth to contribute positively to our societies. They can actually inspire you to contribute positively to our society, fostering a generation that is proud of their roots and motivated to develop their own countries. This is what we need in Africa. This is what we need in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, when we allow the youth are the future. The youth are the foundation of every country. If you go to even all of these European countries where we are struggling to migrate to, dying on the highway, dying in the high sea, dying in the Sahara Desert just to get to these countries, know that their youth are the ones that have built their economy. Because when they come up with ideas, they support it, they push it forward, they nourish their ideas, and they make the youth to be valuable. And in that way, they think at all times. They strive to make things to better themselves and to better their economy, to make a name for themselves. But in Africa, we do not promote talent. We do not promote the strategies or ideas that are brought forth by our young people. We squash them, we discourage them, we don't even allow them to excel. We see talent, we don't promote it. The government does not give room for talent to grow amongst the youth. You see a young man, a very creative artist, you see a painter, you see they don't promote them unless they have people in high places that can pull them. And if there is a talent that does not have somebody in high places to pull them, there is no way that talent will grow. And that is what is killing the African continent and killing our youth, discouraging our youth to even think beyond, to be proactive. Ladies and gentlemen, examples of African countries excelling in education. These are things that we should be able to encourage. When we look at Rwanda, Rwanda from nowhere rose like a phoenix. It just rose from no, despite what Rwanda has gone through, Rwanda is the fastest growing economy in Africa as of now. Rwanda has made significant strides in its educational system over the past decade. The country has focused on improving access to education and has integrated technology into the classroom. Programs like One Laptop Per Child have provided thousands of students with digital learning. And Rwanda, I will say again, is very innovative. Rwanda is the first African country, ladies and gentlemen, to have produced an iPhone made of African resources, complete Africa. And when I saw that iPhone promoted, I was very thrilled, and I decided I was going to be the very first persons in Africa to buy that phone. And I bought it in 2019. When Rwanda announced, when I saw President Paul Kagame introducing the phone, the iPhone that was the Android phone, or the phone that was produced in Rwanda, I was so proud to know that Rwanda could produce, we could have a completely produced phone in Africa. And I told myself I was going to be it. And this is how the phone looked like. And I've used that phone since 2019. And I only stopped using it last year because as a woman, I always carrying things here and there. You always have to drop your phone, and the screen just got bad. So that is the only reason why I stopped using that phone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is This is a homemade phone from Rwanda. Mara X and Mara Z. These are all made in Rwanda. Own company by Rwanda. This phone was made in Rwanda and was announced, as you can see, that is President Paul Kagame who was going to, and this was reported in CNN. This phone, Mara Z and Mara X, were all made in Rwanda by the Mara Group in Rwanda and was made by African products. Yes, like you can see here, countries like Egypt, Algeria, South Africa, they've been doing phones. They were able to produce phones, but they also imported parts of the materials that they used, components of these phones from different countries. But this was made completely in Rwanda by a Rwandan company, the Maraze. And this is an amazing product, and this is what we are talking about. These are the things we want to see. And this is made in 2019, ladies and gentlemen. 2019, that is when we had our first ever made phone in Africa, completely made of Africa. How can this be? In 2019, when did Android phones start existing? When did iPhone start existing? When did we start having these things into existence in the Western world? And it had to be in 2019 for Rwanda to rise and make and produce this. But still, we appreciate the fact that at least we have something that is coming from our own continent, because we have all the natural resources in Africa that can enable us to do this. And if you don't mind, I want to share this video. These are people, this is what power, the iPhones, everything in.
We're looking at a video now. This is so crazy to see. This is the bottom of the supply chain of your iPhone.
I'm just going to share that again, just to make sure that the volume is up. I just want to make sure that the volume is up. This is just to illustrate what we spend our time doing while we work for others, and we are here suffering in Africa, whereas we have all the resources, all what it takes for us to produce our own. I'll share that once again, so you can hear by yourself.
We're looking at a video now. This is so crazy to see. This is the bottom of the supply chain of your iPhone, of your Tesla, of your Samsung. Right. It's all of them, right? All of them. And here's what you need to know, Joe, about this video. This is an industrial cobalt mine where there's not supposed to be one artisanal miner. Now, that's the term used for people who are just digging by hand as opposed to tractors and excavators. There's more than 15,000 human beings crammed into that pit, digging by hand. And if you have sound, you hear the mallets, you hear the shouting, you hear the grunts. Thousands of individuals clanking away for $1 or $2 a day. Okay? All that stuff, that cobalt's toxic to breathe. They're breathing it in all day. No masks, no gloves, no. Half those guys are in flip-flops. We're supposed to be living in this enlightened era. To see kids up to their shoulders, caked in this filth and grime and toxic. I mean, to see teenagers walking around with babies on their back, all inhaling this toxic.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is just to show you that we have everything it takes to rebuild Africa. Yes, those are our people exploited by the West. They come into our countries, they flash a little bit of money to the government just sells us to them. And they use our labor, they use so cheap labor, they take us for granted. Everything they own, they take it from us. We don't have companies in Africa that can truly produce phones in its entirety, except this one that Rwanda did. Other African countries have been producing, but with components brought in from other parts of the world. But as you can see, those are miners, and that is what produced all of these phones that we are using. And where do they get all the mineral resource, the material from? From Africa. They get it from Africa, take it to their own countries, build these items, and then bring it back to us, and we buy them at very expensive rates, whereas we have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we are talking about. The African youth, the need for us to rebuild, to reset the African, to decolonize our mindset, because Africans, our governments are also a major problem to us. The reason why our youth are living. We have these resources, and yet the government willfully sell it out to the Europeans. They use it to rebuild these items and then bring it back to sell to us at very exorbitant prices, and we buy and complain on a daily basis. It's a painful situation, ladies and gentlemen. Comrade Kecha, if you want to come on live, I can send you an invitation to just come on live and speak on this particular topic. I would like to know what you think. If you have something to say in the comment, if you want to come live now and say something, I'll be happy to bring you live for a few minutes so you can express yourself. This is about the youth of Africa. We must be able to talk about these things because we have accepted it as normalcy. It's not normal because our leaders have made us to believe that we cannot succeed in Africa except in European countries or in the West. Again, like I said, education is very important to empower the African youth. Education is very important. And Comrade Kecha, if you can share the link and just invite people in various forums to just join in this conversation, I'll truly appreciate that. Just send a message in different forums and just invite people to join on this very important conversation. Like I said, Rwanda has risen like a phoenix in the 21st century. Despite what Rwanda went through, Rwanda has risen. And Rwanda is one of the major countries that has invested a lot in its education. And I just brought in the aspect of the phone that Rwanda produced. And now let's talk about Ghana. Ghana has also made a notable improvement in its educational system. And in 2017, the government of Ghana introduced the senior high school free education, which means that there is no discrimination, whether you come from the north, the south, the east, the west, whether you're poor or you're improper, or you come from the wealthy family, you are entitled to access free senior high school education in Ghana. And this is once again, I'm going to share my screen here just to show you what the free education system in Ghana is. It has come with its own benefit and it also has come with its own challenges. But does that make it not to be more innovative? Here is the Ghana education system. Here you can see that if the policy is free education for a senior high school. So with this, since 2017 and between 2017 and 2018, the Ghana Education Board introduced this, the government, the system introduced this free education. And the beautiful thing about it is I can speak very authoritatively on this topic because I've lived in Ghana and I worked in this area, and my dissertation was on the challenges to female education in northern Ghana. And I'm so happy that this was introduced in Ghana because there was a lot of discrimination with the female child in northern Ghana, because northern Ghana, in as much as we celebrate Ghana as being one of the powerhouses in Africa in terms of education, the northern Ghana female child, most importantly, was deprived and relegated when it comes to education. And that is where I focused my dissertation during my master's studies, the challenges to female education in northern Ghana. And I went deep because I've worked in the very hinterlands of the northern part of Ghana. But I focused my dissertation in the Savlugu Nantong district because of the where I decided to center that dissertation. And I'm so happy, but the challenges we are having at this level is the fact that as the introduction was made, so now we have more students than the infrastructures, which is a major problem. It has always been a major problem in Ghana because during my time in Ghana, there were a lot of uncompleted educational, uncompleted buildings, schools. If this government comes up and starts an educational infrastructure, once the government leaves power, the other government does not complete that educational infrastructure because they don't want to credit it to the previous government. And you have uncompleted buildings everywhere, completed school buildings everywhere in northern Ghana and in other parts of the south. And you see a lot of children attending schools under the tree, ladies and gentlemen, without a proper benches to sit and write. They sit on stones and they write on their laps. And this is a challenge that we are facing with this free educational system infrastructure, which I believe it's going to be sorted out, but we applaud the government's policy to allow every child to be educated, because this is what Africa needs. We need to educate our children, not just educate the children, but educate them with the history of Africa and the values of Africa, not just importing European values on us and making us believe that we have nothing to offer in Africa, but European values. Because the innovation, just like Kenya, Kenya also introduced I'm going to be sharing this one as well. Kenya also introduced the program of laptop for every child in the IT department. They provide instruments like this for children to start learning. The ICT department or in their schools have been introduced so that people can actually learn all of these things, which is very important. So we begin to build them from the very young ages so that by the time they are getting to their teenage ages, they are already developing ideas, they are already developing strategies, they are already innovating. This is what we need. And this is actually an applaudable initiative by the government of Kenya, because here Kenya implemented the competency-based curriculum, that is to replace the traditional educational system, focus on developing practical skills and competencies among youth, preparing them for the job market. Kenya has also been seen in integrating the ICT into education with initiatives like the digital literacy program, providing digital devices to primary school students. And as you can see here, this is what Kenya is doing. So the children may use now these digital devices to study, which is very important. By the time a child comes out from school, they'll be able to know, they know how to use the computer, laptops, and phones to be able to improve themselves. And again, we saw what Kenya is also doing in terms of their education. They've really introduced this ICT into the educational system and providing every primary school child with a laptop, with a tablet where they can use to study, which is applaudable. And this is what we want to see other countries to emulate, so that the African continent, they can build our children to be ready for the job market. Build our children to be ready for the job market. And now we have Botswana that has consistently invested in its educational system as well. In Botswana, they have the continuous professional development. The Botswana investment also invested in vocational and technical education, which has provided students the opportunity to be job market ready once they graduate from school. And we have in Mauritius, they've also boosted their educational system. And these are the things that we want to see in most African countries, so that once our children are leaving the classroom, they should be ready for the job market. But when they are ready for the job market, the government should also be able to make available these jobs for them. African countries, African leaders, every country in Africa can transform their educational system in a way. At least they've copied from the West for more than 60 years. I think by now they should be able to innovate themselves and also develop their curriculums and develop their educational institutions and create different departments within their own universities and primary school, secondary school, high schools that will prepare our youths to be able to come out and be market free and be market ready. So African countries can transform their educational system to better service their youth and prepare them for the future. It starts from the leadership. And then encourage the students, encourage the people. Once we have an encouraging leadership, look at Rwanda. Who wouldn't want to go to school? Look at Ghana. All the children, those who have left school for so many years, went back to school because they had the opportunity to better themselves. Most people don't go to school because of the finances. Most people don't go to school because of the economic situation of the country. Now, Ghana introduced a free educational system. That is an innovation that should be applauded. And other countries to do same. Does it compromise the quality of the education? No, it doesn't. From what we know, it doesn't compromise the quality of the education. It only helps to build a youth that is educated, ready to build a country. Economic empowerment. Another crucial step is economic empowerment. Youths need opportunities within their own countries to strive. If you don't have opportunities in your own country for your youths to strive, with those opportunities, they will definitely move because they have responsibilities. They have dreams to fulfill. They have families to take care of because they also have their own dreams to fulfill. So if a country does not have the opportunities that the youth needs, the youth will definitely leave that country to other countries, to go to places where they can find these opportunities. This means supporting local businesses, investing in technology, innovation, and creating a favorable environment for entrepreneurship. These are most of the things that we lack in our African countries. We don't encourage innovation. We don't promote, we don't invest in technology. We do not create opportunity, favorable environment for entrepreneurship. Somebody wants to start up a business in Africa. The taxes alone are enough to shut down the business. And this is why most of our youth are discouraged. The taxes alone are enough to shut down the business. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the African youths need. We must be able, the governments and the leaders of African nations, if they want our youths to stay back home and rebuild the African continent, we need to provide favorable environment, invest in technology, innovations, creating environment for people to excel, supporting businesses, provide opportunities. There are a lot of countries, most of the people in the European country and in the Western world are succeeding because their governments have a lot of fundings for small scale businesses, people that want to start off businesses, people that have ideas. You see people investing in those ideas. And that is how they grow. But we don't have those opportunities in Africa. People have ideas, but they cannot put them into fruition because they lack the support. They don't have the means. But we want to copy the West. We allow our youths to move, to migrate to the West because the governments of those countries, they support their youth. They invest, they put in billions and trillions of euros and dollars in non-profits to support new businesses, to support innovation, to support technology. People come up with ideas, immediately they pitch it, they support them. But we don't have this in Africa. And this is why our youth are moving. And if African youths must build Africa for Africa, we must be able to encourage our youth, encourage entrepreneurship, invest in technologies, invest in innovation, support small, large scale and medium-sized enterprises, businesses. So by showcasing successful local businesses and providing access to resources, we can inspire youths to see the potentials in their own countries. This is a fact. Once the government is able to support local businesses, providing access to resources, supporting ideas, it will inspire youth to see the potential of living in their own countries. You will no longer hear youth